opposition to the rule of the Ayatollahs, and that opposition is centered in this room today.
That's John Bolton. He's speaking at the annual gathering of an Iranian dissident group, known as the Mujahideen-e-Khalq, or the MEK. Bolton has long been vehemently opposed to the Iran nuclear deal and to having dialogue with the Iranian government.
The behavior and the objectives of the regime are not going to change, and therefore the only solution is to change the regime itself. And that's why before 2019, we here will celebrate in Tehran. Thank you very much.
Bolton believes the MEK is a viable alternative to Iran's government. So what is the MEK? It's a dissident group, and its primary mission is to overthrow the regime in Iran. A 2011 State Department estimate said the group had between 5,000 to 13,000 members.
Nous sommes contre fondamentalisme et intégrisme qui sont au pouvoir en Iran. Nous sommes contre terrorisme, que le régime des Mollahs est le centre d'exportation de terrorisme et fondamentalisme au Moyen-Orient.
Most MEK members are Iranian exiles living in Europe and the US. Many experts believe it has little support inside Iran itself. They often stage demonstrations against Iran's human rights record and its cleric-run state. It's often described as a cult. The US State Department says it calls for forcing spouses to divorce and weekly ideological cleansing sessions. It was led by Masoud Rajavi, but he's been missing since 2003. And so, his wife Maryam Rajavi has become the de facto leader. Until 2012, the United States considered it a terrorist organization. MEK's tactics have shifted over the years, but it has been known to use violence to achieve its goals. MEK started in Iran in the 1960s. In the 1970s, it carried out anti-regime activities against the Shah, right up until the Islamic Revolution in 1979. And then it targeted Ayatollah Khomeini's government too. But it didn't stop there. During this time, it was also suspected to be behind the assassination of 6 Americans and the bombings of American companies in Iran. The group eventually moved to Iraq and tried to destabilize the Iranian regime from there. But after Saddam Hussein was toppled, the country grew too dangerous for them, even with US troops present.
MEK was still a pretty undesirable group, but that we did not want to watch it be slaughtered in Iraq.
Today, Bolton isn't the only public figure to find common cause with the MEK. Rudy Giuliani, former DNC chair Ed Rendell, and Trump Transportation Secretary Elaine Chao have spoken at or attended MEK's national conference. The group also has an aggressive lobbying arm and seems to have deep pockets.
The amusing thing is that the MEK will try to buy pretty much anyone. And I was approached to do events in support of the MEK. I know a number of other former government officials who found them truly detestable also were approached. You know, it's really something to have someone on the phone offering you $15,000 or $20,000 to appear at a panel discussion, because that doesn't happen for former diplomats every day.
Since he became National Security Advisor, Bolton hasn't said who he'd like to see take over in Iran. But if past statements are any guide, MEK's most powerful advocate is now within earshot of the president.
I have said for over 10 years since coming to these events that the declared policy of the United States of America should be the overthrow of the mullahs regime in Tehran.
All right, you guys, we are live. This is Soapbox Heroes. We were just playing a little bit about John Bolton and some things going on in Tehran. We're going to have Robert come and explain these world conflicts for us who are conflicted in the mind and don't know exactly what in the world is going on. So, Robert, we're going to need you to break this down for us, man. I know it's a heavy burden to bear, but I'm going to ask you to do it today. Because when it comes to these conflicts, I'll be honest with you, a lot of us really don't know what's going on. We just kind of hear some things in the news. And I was going to ask you something real quick before we get into it. It said John Bolton and Elaine Chao. Isn't Elaine Chao married to Mitch McConnell? if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I think she is. I think she is. But hey, Robert, introduce yourself and let's get into it, man. Let's talk about this. I'm going to ask you questions like somebody who don't know what they're talking about because I don't. So what's going on with these world conflicts? Now, I've been hearing about Syria and all this stuff going on for a while. Let's break it down. Well, introduce yourself first.
okay, well, if you know Soapbox Heroes, you know me. I'm a friend of the people, Robert Kelly, and a professional dragon slayer and student.
A professional dragon slayer and student. Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and slay this dragon, talking about these world conflicts today. And yeah, why don't we get into it? Let us know what's going on. Let us know what's on your mind. And like I said, I'm going to ask questions as somebody who don't have a clue, somebody who's just trying to figure out exactly what it is that's going on. So, Robert, let us know about these world conflicts.
Well, over in a brief review, it's like a brief overview. America, at any given point in time, if you go through American history, there have been points in time, just about any year, we have been in more wars than the people might ever realize. America has always been interested in who's running countries, who's running certain countries, especially countries that have natural resources that we would like to control or like to outright be able to take. And and when the people that are in power in a certain country aren't playing ball with the United States, that we look for those at those people as enemies of the United States, and we go into their country, destabilize their nation, and fund uprisings of the people of that nation in order to change the regime. Right now, we're doing that in Syria. We're doing that in Venezuela. We're doing it in Yemen. And we're also attempting, we'll see what's going on in Iran. As you can see from the video that you played in the beginning there, at least John Bolton, who is the national security advisor to the president of the United States, is interested in nothing less than a regime change in Iran. And as you might realize, the Ayatollah of Iran is not going to go down without a fight. It would take nothing less than a war, and a very large-scale war, as Iran is a very powerful nation with a very large army and a lot of money. It would take a lot in order to, a war with Iran would cost a lot of American lives, a lot of American money, and it would be destructive to our way of life. So it's important that we as Americans understand exactly what's going on in terms of regime change, so that we, first of all, are just aware of the temperature in the room, but secondly, so that we can vote properly, because there are politicians that are very much in favor of these wars, and there are politicians that are not. So you have to decide where you stand so that you're not voting for someone that doesn't share the same view as you.
Okay, why do we want these regime changes? Like Syria, Iran, why would we push for regime change?
Money. I mean, think about it. Syria has a lot of natural resources in terms of oil, but there's a civil war going on in Syria right now, and we're actually just looking to take out the person that actually runs Syria right now. Okay.
Okay. The Ayatollah. No, that's Iran, right?
Ayatollah is the religious leader in Iran right now.
Okay.
So let's see. The dude's name just kind of just slipped out of my mind as I was talking to you. Assad. His name is Assad.
But is it Bashir Assad?
Bashar Assad.
Okay.
Al-Assad. Yes. Bashar al-Assad is the president of Syria.
Okay.
And he is currently in power. In 2011, there were people that a revolution started in his country. A civil war was started by an opposition group. Okay, when they started that opposition, there was then a conflict between the al-Assad's troops and the rebels. Assad was gaining control as he began to gain traction and control of the uprising. A rumor was started. That rumor was that al-Assad dumped gas bombs on his
Syrian
own
gas on the Kurds.
Right, chlorine bombs on the Kurds.
Mhm.
When this happened, other countries, because that's a violation of the rules of war,
Right.
It's a war crime. Other countries, including the United States, felt like it was important for them to go in. Okay.
Right.
What Iran did, because Iran is also involved in the Syrian conflict, backing al-Assad, is they actually went in with their own army and started to fight on al-Assad, but also they infiltrated the rebels and stirred up dissent amongst the rebels. The rebels broke into two groups.
Mhm.
One of those groups is ISIS. So ISIS broke away from the rebels, and that's where we get ISIS today. The United States went in saying that they were fighting ISIS. The Kurds, they're fighting everybody. And then the rebels, they're fighting. So there's different groups funding different people, funding different backers, a bunch of terrible groups of people. And it's like no one knows who they really want to win. But the major players in that war currently are the United States and Russia. So this is a proxy war of United States and Russia, Iran, Syria, and then the rebels and ISIS. Okay, so it's a mess.
Wow, yeah, that's a whole bunch of different interests going all into one war. And so you're saying that sometimes we'll go and we'll disturb the peace somewhere, or we'll go ahead and insert ourselves in order so we could cause confusion on purpose?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's a good example of that is Iraq. We went into Iraq in 2002 under the lie, because it usually just starts with a lie, because you have to get the American people on your side if you want to go into war.
Okay.
And that war was the lie was that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction, which he didn't.
Okay.
And George Bush, who was George W. Bush, the president at the time, with the help of Dick Cheney gassed George Bush up.
Yeah, and Donald Rumsfeld.
And Donald Rumsfeld, yeah, the biggest warmonger in the history of the earth.
Besides John Bolton. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. These are a bunch of bloodthirsty old men that make decisions that cost young men their lives. Mm-hmm. So they basically said, hey, we're gonna go in there, and then Americans didn't want to go into Iraq unless there was proof of weapons of mass destruction. We didn't get that proof. We wanted allies to help us. George Bush was determined to go in there even without allies. He circumvented the UN, and he said, "Oh, the coalition of the willing is." If you remember correctly, he had his whole little. We have a coalition of the willing. We have some countries that'll come and help us with it, but ultimately, we destabilized Iraq. We captured Saddam Hussein, executed him. Right. Iraq has never been the same since. We did the same thing in Libya with Gaddafi. We went in there under the guise of a lie that Gaddafi was mistreating his people. I mean, Gaddafi's always been a dictator, but there was no homelessness or hunger in Libya. There was no, they socialized their oil. That was the problem. And
they wanted to give the oil money to the people.
And they were going to give the oil money to the people, but under a gold standard. They were going to switch to gold standard that was going to break the backs of the European banks. Okay. And so they had to hurry up and kill him. He was being too smart.
You messing with the church's money, you got to go.
And now in Libya, since they've left Libya, they actually have the slave trade is back in Libya. They're actually selling Black people as slaves in Libya right now. Mm-hmm. And things that Gaddafi would not condone or allow are now rampant in Libya. We've destabilized that nation, and it'll be decades before they ever return to the prosperity that they once enjoyed.
Right. And that was all because we pressed for regime change, because we didn't want them to nationalize the oil, well, to socialize the oil and change the monetary system to the gold standard, which effectively would make our money worthless there.
Absolutely. Not only worthless there, it would, on the market, open market, people would start trading in gold. Why? Because gold is actual currency.
It's a tangible product. It's a tangible item. Like a dollar isn't worth what its weight in actual paper.
Right. Gold is actually always going up in value. Per ounce is always going up in value, and it's something that appreciates with time. And when you put your currency into something that appreciates with time, it ensures that your currency will always be strong. And he was not going to just do that for Libya, but he was going to do that for all the African nations.
Right.
All independent African nations were going to be able to go to the gold standard and get their oil from Libya, and he was only going to accept that gold for the oil.
Right. Here, Robert, real quick, I just want to show this.
Agents available 24/7. It's not just easy.
From Libya, and he was going to sell. He was only going to accept that gold.
Ridiculous.
Here, Robert, real quick, I just want to show this.
Agents available 24/7. It's not just easy.
From Libya, and he was going to sell. He was only going to accept that gold.
Ridiculous.
Here, Robert, real quick, I just want to show this.
Agents available 24/7. It's not just easy.
From Libya, and he was going to sell. He was only going to accept that gold.
Ridiculous.
Here, Robert, real quick, I just want to show this.
Agents available 24/7. It's not just easy.
From Libya, and he was going to sell. He was only going to accept that gold.
Ridiculous.
Here, Robert, let's talk a little bit more about Libya. What are we gonna do about it? What do you think the solution is?
The solution is a tough one, but the United States is not interested in a solution to the slave trade. They got what they wanted. They went in to kill Gaddafi. Once they did that, once they destabilized that government, now it's the Libyans' problem. It's not the problem of the United States to go and end the slave trade in Libya. They're not interested in it.
So we'll just stabilize a region, and then we'll just leave the region after it's not stable anymore.
Absolutely. It's their problem now, because once we've gotten what we want in terms, whether it be natural resources, whether it be the dictatorship or the change in regime, you know what I mean? We've set up some kind of puppet or some kind of vassal regime. We're out. We've done everything that we need to do.
Right.
It's all about money and power and greed. So,
okay.
Yeah. So,
well, let's get in tell me some more about some other conflicts that I need to know. So we covered Libya. So are we in war in Libya? And wait, hold on. Let's not go too far. Is Assad a good guy? Should we have not?
No.
Because I remember we went and after they said that he gassed his own people, we shot a bunch of missiles, and if I'm not mistaken, we hit a bunch of non-ancillary targets that really didn't mean anything. So is he a bad guy? Do we mean this? Like, what's going on? What's going on with Assad?
Assad's a bad guy. He's a dictator. But what he didn't do is he didn't gas his people. Think about it like this. If you're in a war, Tyrone, and you're winning that war,
okay,
the last thing you're going to want is for some other more powerful actors to jump into that war to try to defeat you, right?
Right.
So why would you drop a gas bomb on your own people knowing you're already winning the war?
Right. And weren't they winding down the conflict or something to that nature when it happened?
Right. That's right. And if I was a rebel, you know what I would do? I would set off a gas bomb and say, hey, look what he's gassing his own people. Get other people to come help because we're losing the war.
Right. Okay.
And there's new evidence that's actually come out in the past couple of weeks that's actually what happened. That Assad didn't gas his own people. It was all set by the rebels in order to bring the United States into that conflict.
Okay. So wait, you said it was United States helped that conflict start?
No, they came into the conflict when they They came under the conflict. See, you got to understand, whenever the United States come into a conflict in another nation, there has to be a lie. People in America do not want their young men going off to war for any old thing willy-nilly.
So they got to give him a reason.
So you got to give them a reason. For instance, how did America get into World War II?
Tell me.
The attack on Pearl Harbor, right?
Yeah, we were pretty
neutral before then.
Yeah, weren't we like the protagonists in that war? Didn't we go and started things with them, and then they came back and retaliated?
No, they were imperialist, and they wanted to. They thought they could pick a fight with America and win, so they did that surprise attack on Pearl Harbor. But think about it. How did we get into World War I? Because we were neutral. See, we had a non-interventionist policy. We didn't jump into wars back in the day. We started doing that after World War II. World War I. How did we get into World War I? There was a lie. There was a lie that a U.S. ship had got blown up.
Mm-hmm.
The Lusitania. Okay. How did we get into the Spanish-American War?
Tell me.
It was a lie that a U.S. ship that got blown up, the USS Maine. They got blown up, but guess who blew them up? We blew up our own ship so we could get the people behind us in order to go into war with us.
Have we ever been in a war that we didn't start ourselves?
Well, I would say, World War II was really none of our business until they attacked us.
Yeah, I've heard conflicting stories about World War II. I have heard as well that we went and we kind of pushed them into coming over into bombing us, like we had a hand in that as well. And
we were dealing with British. We were dealing with the British. We were still trading with the British, breaking past the German trade embargoes, and I think it was just an Axis strategy was part of it. So yeah, but we were doing something. Vietnam War. What were we doing in Vietnam? That was the big question during the Vietnam War.
Yeah, that was the big protest, is why are we even here?
Right. Defending, quote unquote, defending democracy. Bunch of people died.
Right.
No new democracy, right? And then, of course, about Iraq, right?
Right.
The Saudi Arabians, they dropped the bombs. The Twin Towers, those were Saudi Arabians that hit that, right?
I think 19 out of the 20 people who did it, if I'm not mistaken, were from Saudi Arabia. And
so why do we attack Iraq?
Well, because we like Saudi Arabia. We do a lot of gun selling and arms selling to Saudi Arabia. There's a lot of money given to us by Saudi Arabia.
So we know this is what and Saudi Arabia, that's a bloody dictatorship. They're terrible dictators over there.
Right. And their human rights violations is atrocious, but they spend money.
Right. But why do they say they're going into Venezuela?
You know what? That's what I was going to ask you about next, and I think that's a good segue. What's going on in Venezuela?
Okay, Venezuela. It all starts. Let me go back. We're going to go back to the 60s. Okay. We're going to talk about something called the pink wave. Okay. Because for a long time, as much colonialism went on in the North American continent with the British and with the French, it was even worse in South America with the Spanish and the Portuguese.
Really?
Much worse. They had more slaves. They had more of a stranglehold on what was going on over there. They were much crueler, and it's terrible. You know what I mean? So, if you want to look up pink wave,
okay, I'll look it up. Go ahead. I'll just pull it up as I get it. So the pink wave. Go ahead about the pink wave.
Okay, so the pink wave, when these imperialistic powers had a stranglehold all over South America. South America was held basically by neoliberals that were in favor of laissez-faire capitalism, and they destroyed and raped South America for its natural resources, as imperialists like to do. And they had a stranglehold on the majority of the people. They were all ruled by the white minority. Okay.
Okay.
Now, at some point in time, the people are going to push back, of course, right?
Okay.
Everything comes to a head and the people push back and they begin to put in their own leaders.
Okay.
Okay. And in South America.
Okay.
And what happened was they started to go, they were leftists. They were getting socialist leaders. You know, it's not Pink Wave. I'm sorry, it's the Pink Tide.
Pink Tide. I got you.
Yeah. And I said Pink Wave earlier today when I was talking to Prince. I keep saying that. But it's the Pink Tide.
Yeah,
you know,
I know what you meant.
Pink Wave.
And I got to pull it up too. Pink Tide. Go ahead. I got you.
Yeah. And I said Pink Wave earlier today when I was talking to Prince. I keep saying that. But it's the Pink Tide.
Yeah,
you know,
I know what you meant.
Pink Wave.
And I got to pull it up too. Pink Tide. Go ahead. I got you. Yeah. Can you hear me?
And I said Pink Wave earlier today when I was talking to Prince. But you see how your audio is kind of going over when you bring
Yeah, I know how to fix that. I had the audio to share the computer audio.
But you see how
I'll fix that real quick just so we don't have to run into that again. All right, we got the Pink Tide shared and the audio is crispy. So, okay, it says right here, the rise and the fall of South America's Pink Tide. What's the Pink Tide, Robert?
So if you look all the way over there to the left, right here, that man right there, that's Hugo Chavez.
Hugo Chavez, right.
That next lady, that next guy next to him with the gray, that's Lulu.
Okay.
And I think that's Jose Mujica.
Okay. Yeah. I remember when Cesar Chavez, isn't he the one that called George Bush the devil?
That's him. And the reason he called him the devil is because of this. Because back before these people came to office, the South America was basically ruled by right-wing dictators. And the reason they were ruled by right-wing dictators is because when they started to push to a radical left, the United States actually went in and started coups in these countries in order to put these right-wing dictators into office in the 70s. Mm-hmm. And so the United States is responsible for implanting terrible dictators in several South American countries. So when these countries began to break free from these dictatorships and overthrow these dictatorships, it was called a Pink Tide.
Right.
Okay. These politicians ushered in a new era in South America, including Venezuela. What Hugo Chavez did, and this is going to be a common theme, is first of all, he kicked BP, he kicked Exxon, he kicked them out of his country. So, guys, we're going to socialize our oil. Venezuela has the largest oil reserve in the world. Really? Yes.
I didn't know that.
Well, yeah, it's got to be something for them to want. It ain't for the trees.
They need their resources. We need that petro.
So when he did that, this is what he did next. He socialized the oil. Then he paid off the international bankers like the Rothschilds. He paid them back the money that Venezuela owed to them.
Wow. So they were no longer indebted to them, so they couldn't control them anymore.
Right. Then he refused. And then he said, we're going to take the money that we make off of oil and we're going to give it back to the people.
And that's going to take away profits from those companies, from the oil companies.
Right. So what they begin to do in America is they begin to demonize Chavez. Because Chavez wasn't a perfect man, and Venezuela didn't become a perfect country. You know? Right. But they used things to try to demonize Chavez.
Right. And it's sort of like the same thing they did with Muammar Gaddafi.
Right. They even kidnapped him.
Chavez, I do know that they said that they sent assassins his way or something like that. You know what, Robert? Since we talking about Chavez, here, let's do this. Let's show the people this real quick. I think it's pretty fitting for the conversation that we are having right now. Let's hear what Hugo Chavez had to say himself.
I think that the first people who should read this book are our brothers and sisters in the United States, because their threat is in their own house. The devil is right at home. The devil himself is right in the house. And the devil came here yesterday.
Talking about George Bush.
Yesterday, the devil came here. Right here. Right here. And it smells of sulfur still today. This table that I am now standing in front of. Yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, from this rostrum, the President of the United States, the gentleman to whom I refer as the devil, came here talking as if he owned the world. Truly, as the owner of the world. I think we could call a psychiatrist to analyze yesterday's statement made by the President of the United States. As the spokesman of imperialism, he came to share his nostrums to try to preserve the current pattern of domination, exploitation, and pillage of the peoples of the world. An Alfred Hitchcock movie could use it as a scenario. I would even propose a title: The Devil's Recipe. As Chomsky says here clearly and in depth, the American empire is doing all it can to consolidate its hegemonistic system of domination, and we cannot allow them to do that. We cannot allow world dictatorship to be consolidated.
Are you an actor?
Robert, he called him the devil. He said the podium still smelled like sulfur.
Yeah, it's because, basically, he knew that basically the United States does not stay out of the affairs of other countries. Mm-hmm. Now, he wasn't perfect. Some of the economic things that he implemented in Venezuela caused, up and down economy in Venezuela, Okay. But he had his heart in the right place, and he was democratically elected. I don't think that we should be in the business as American, the American military should be in the business of going into democratically elected officials, going to their countries, and then deciding that they're not fit to rule over the people. I mean, could you imagine? I mean, everybody's not happy with Trump, but I would never want another country to come in and try to remove Trump from office.
Right. That's interfering in a democratic election.
Right. And when we had a sniff of, we thought the Russians interfered in our election. It's the biggest piece of news ever, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. The Russians hacked our elections.
We hack people's elections all the time. And by hack, I mean hack people to pieces.
Right. Okay, here, let me show you this, and I'll show you this, and this will be another way that I can ask a question by sight. Right here, it says, international groups focused on Venezuela crisis meet at the UN. What's going on in that? What is the UN's role in what's going on in Venezuela? And maybe you could break down what's going on in Venezuela, and particularly just a little bit more, because we're hearing a lot about Venezuela right as we speak.
Well, the Venezuelan crisis right now is that when Trump came into office, Nicolas Maduro is currently the president of Venezuela.
Okay.
A man named Guaido, a
Okay.
man named Guaido goes to basically he's from America, but he's Venezuelan. He's the leader of the Venezuelan student assembly. He basically declares himself the president of Venezuela.
Okay.
And the United States agreed with him.
Wait. So somebody just declared themselves the president of Venezuela, and the United States got behind that?
Well, it was because after Nicolas Maduro was democratically elected, Guaido said that there was something wrong with the election, said there was corruption in the election, and said that if by presidential succession, if the president is not the president anymore, the leader of the National Assembly, which is Guaido, he becomes president. Like if Nicolas Maduro, something happened to Nicolas Maduro, he would become president. So he just declared himself president.
Right.
And the United States agreed that he was the president.
Okay.
And the reason being is, in order to understand what's going on in Venezuela right now, first you have to understand the people of Venezuela. Okay. Venezuela is broken up into two major ethnic groups. Okay. 75% of the Venezuelans look like me and you, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah, 75%, due to the African diaspora, and then the fact that it was a native. A lot of people are Native American mixed, people there, right? Now, 25% of the population are of Spanish descent. They look like white people, but they're Venezuelan.
Okay.
And those 25% have ruled Venezuela for a very long time. And when Chavez came to power, it was because that 75% finally decided to rise up and voted him into office, and they kicked the other people out of the offices.
Okay.
They lost a lot of power.
Okay.
Those people who are the rich, the very wealthy minority, they began to, of course, fight for their power back, but they haven't been able to. When Chavez died, when he passed away of cancer, he left Nicolas Maduro as his successor. Maduro took power by the democratically elected government, the same people, the people still, the 75% casting their votes, and now the appeal is to the American government for them to do something. Okay. And the Americans, they want their hands on that oil. So in order to get their hands on that oil, what they've done is they've put strict sanctions on Venezuela. And they put the sanctions on Venezuela. Venezuela is not allowed to sell their oil to anyone in the United States. They can't sell their oil to anyone.
We're trying to stifle their money. We're trying to stop the money flow.
Right. And because oil is basically 98% of their gross domestic product, by preventing them from selling their oil, you basically bring them to their knees economically.
Right.
So there's an economic crisis going on in Venezuela. As a result, thousands of people have left Venezuela. And I know you heard about the great migration of immigrants that were coming, that big caravan, as they were
from Venezuela. And so
for Venezuelans, that's right.
Okay.
Economic turmoil.
Okay.
Now, America is acting like it's because Maduro is running the country into the ground. They're ignoring the fact that they're actually stifling their ability to make any kind of economic, any kind of economic gain. So,
right. So we put a sanction on them to where they can't make any money. And now that they can't make any money, it's displacing the people.
Right.
Okay.
But then we turn around and say, look, Maduro's a terrible person. Or they say, look, this is what socialism gets you. Yeah, socialism gets the United States messing with you, because they don't want a successful socialist country in the Western Hemisphere for people to look at and say, oh, this is a model we can work with in our country. You understand what I'm saying?
Right. Here, hold on. Let me show you this. Go ahead. You can keep talking at the same time, Robert. I just want to show, as you're saying again, look, right here, this is coming from Global Times. It says, U.S. inhumane sanctions on Venezuela violates UN charter.
So there you go.
Okay.
And they don't care what they have to do to try to break Venezuela right now. And Guaido is trying to put together a coup. A few weeks ago, maybe a couple of months ago, actually, he actually went on the internet on YouTube, urging the people to take to the streets so that they could begin this overthrow of the government. He had 5,000 people came out and, started cheering with him. He does have support from that 25%, right? But only 12 soldiers. And when those soldiers realized that there was no coup started, guess what they did? They went back to the army, because Maduro has the support of the military, the support of the people, by and large. And so the coup that the U.S. is trying to help Guaido pump up is getting very little traction in Venezuela for now.
So they're not falling for it, basically.
Right, because they understand history, and they understand that last time they went and tried to put leftist reforms in their country, that the United States came in and put in a right-wing dictator, to push their agenda of neoliberalism.
So you're saying that's what we do. We go into places and we find people to do the bidding for the United States, and we put them in power. And pretty much that's going on right now in Venezuela.
That's absolutely what's going on. And it even got so bad in the United States that the Maduro's people had to vacate the embassy in DC. But before they did that, they invited a bunch of activists from Code Pink, which is an anti-interventionist war group, led by a very brave woman named Medea Benjamin. They went in, and then when Maduro's people left, Medea Benjamin and her people stayed in the embassy. There was protesters that support Guaido outside of the embassy, but they couldn't kick out. The U.S. broke the law in order to evict them out of the embassy, which they weren't supposed to do, because that's Venezuelan territory. Their embassy is Venezuelan territory. They shut off the lights on them. They denied them access to food and medicine, and they basically went in there and arrested them, evicted them and arrested them.
So we just strong-armed them and kind of took over. It sounds like that's becoming basically just what we do. And we got a comment earlier, Marcus Wright said that's just what we do.
That's right. And the protesters for Guaido had the backing of the Secret Service.
Okay.
So the Secret Service was helping the Guaido protesters and helping them deny medicine and food to the protesters from Code Pink. Code Pink actually, there was a talk about the Iran war. Medea Benjamin was there. She stood up on the podium and protested against the war against Iran and how dangerous the war with Iran. And Code Pink is the #1 anti-interventionist, anti-war activist group in America right now. And so familiarize yourself with them, because they are they're absolute, to me, they're heroes. They're big, they're real American heroes. And so familiarize yourself with them and support them if you want to. So Code Pink, reach out and support those people, those men and women that stand up against these interventionist wars.
And so I always see whenever it's time when the Senate or Congress is talking about war or war funding and different conflicts, Code Pink will send somebody in there, and they start protesting right in the middle of the chambers, and they'll end up carrying them out. Hey, Prince, what's going on? Prince wanted to join in. Prince, what's on your mind?
Oh man, I was just enjoying Robert y'all commentary, man. This is it's a much needed discussion. I feel like specifically Black people don't get to hear that much, because we think stuff like this doesn't affect us, I think. And I could tell when I have conversations with Black people, because they still be talking about how terrible immigration is and things of that nature. And I like everything Robert was just saying right now, as far as what's actually causing people to migrate to America is 100% spot on. And you can look at it in every single government. If you look at Mexico, if you look at Guatemala, you look at the only country that I could think of off the top that America didn't themselves like sanction to the point to where people had to leave was Cuba. You know what I'm saying? And that was when Fidel, kicked out all the rich oligarchs and whatnot, and they all fled to Florida or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Right. Other than that, I mean, you go Latin American country, you look at every single Middle Eastern country. You just look at the people that have migrated to America in the last 50 years. It's always because of policies that America has put in place that has harmed that country. So where else do you want the people to go? You know what I'm saying? I don't understand why we get. I mean, not that I don't understand. I'm sorry. It is very disappointing to hear us speak so ill about immigration, and we never put the blame on the right people. We're always blaming the immigrants. We're always blaming the poor people. But like Robert was saying, we got to start holding the government accountable, because the government is the ones are the ones that are setting it up so that people have to migrate. They have to leave, right? They're literally. I mean, they are. The American government is trying to starve Venezuela out. Now, in the case of Venezuela, it is. I blame the Venezuelan government to some degree, because they made their whole infrastructure. They built their whole economy on oil. So, you know what I'm saying? So they kind of made it easy for America to block them out, economically speaking, right? If they were like America, let's say, right? Like, America is not really known for any major exports at this time, but if they were like America, or they were like China, you know what I mean? Like America is putting sanctions on China, but the Chinese do 10,000 different things well. You know what I'm saying? They
can't block or stifle their whole economy.
You can't stop their whole economy. You could. I mean, they're fucking with their economy for sure. Poor Chinese people are feeling it a lot. But by and large, though, the country, they're not fucking with the whole country. But in Venezuela, man, they are like it's almost like it's fairly easy to destroy their whole economy if you do what Robert was saying, which is just like, you can't sell oil to we're the biggest consumers of oil. You know what I'm saying? So if we're not going to consume your product, then who are you going to sell to? And then we put sanctions and we tell everybody else, no, don't buy oil from them. You know what I'm saying? And then now, now they can't make any money. I mean, it's basically like the dope game, if you look at it like that, right? So imagine being like a dope, imagine being like a D-boy. You know what I'm saying? If somebody comes and they say they strong arm you, right? But they don't want a strong arm you. They can't physically, get you off the block, let's say, right? Because they know they don't got the manpower or the support. But they come in and say, they go to all the smokers and say, no, don't buy from him. Or they go to your Connect and say, don't sell to him. You know what I'm saying? So now you in a drought. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's basically what America is doing. So this is just some real life, like
America drying up the streets on them, Prince.
Yeah, America is the biggest. America is, as a whole, we are the biggest bullies. We are the biggest terrorists. You know what I'm saying? Like, all the things that we say, our quote unquote democracy is the worst of all the Western countries. Like Venezuela. Here's what I'm saying. It's so funny that America has the audacity to try to oust Maduro, right? Like Robert just pointed out, 75% of the people voted for him, right? Yeah. So, but if you look at voter turnout, first of all, in Venezuela, much higher than in America. And if you look at the what's it called? What's the word I want to say? The integrity of their democracy, the integrity of their election, much higher than America. One man, no fucking voting machines, none of that bullshit, right? So for America to turn around in a country where Donald Trump won and he lost by 3 million votes, but he's the president of the United States. You know what I'm saying? 8 years ago or 12 years ago or whatever it was now, 15 years ago, whatever it was, the last Republican president, which was George Bush Jr., he lost the popular vote, but yet he ended up being president.
And
so
they had that whole hanging Chad situation going on in Florida and throwing away ballots and all that stuff.
Yeah, like I mean, and we're just talking about we always just go back to the presidents, but imagine if that happened in front of the whole nation, in front of the whole world. Imagine what's happening in the fucking mayoral race in Podunk, fucking Kentucky. Imagine what's happening in what we were talking about today in Texas, in your hometown. What's happening right now? You know, with the lady running for prosecutor or whatever, right? Or DA. I'm sorry, for DA. Right? Okay, cool. If she is a true progressive DA, they will try to cheat her. I guarantee you, they will try to cheat her.
And it's a lot of Democrats that are giving her issues right at this point in time.
Because Democrats are the establishment. So people have to get out of their brains that it's left and there's no such thing as left and right in America. As far as in major, as we're talking about major political parties, there is no left and right. There's right and there's fucking far right, batshit crazy right, which is regular, like a regular Republican is batshit crazy far right, like dumb as fuck, far right that you possibly can get. And then like a Democrat is like a conservative from fucking 30 years ago. Like some of the shit that the Democrats push for now is things that Ronald Reagan wouldn't even have pushed for fucking 40 years ago. He would have said, nah, that's too extreme. That's too far right. You know what I'm saying? Shit that fucking Obama was about and endorsing. So there is no. For
example, Prince, if I'm not mistaken, didn't Ronald Reagan okay 1 million immigrants to come over at once?
Yes.
Okay.
So and then you turn around, look at Obama. Obama was the deporter in chief. So what the fuck? Like the regime change wars are literally creating these immigrants coming to America. So if you like, people always like to claim they're problem solvers, right? Like I hear that all the, well, we're going to talk about solving the problem. Okay. So I'm going to tell you how we solve the problem. We stop supporting regime change wars. You stop fucking rocking your American flag and all that bullshit and being fucking fake patriotic and shit like that. That's fueling that shit. I know y'all don't think it is. I know a lot of people think that shit is cool. You know what I'm saying? You celebrating the 4th of July. You want to be out here. You got your Blue Lives Matter and all that bullshit. And all that shit is signaling to this American government that we got the people on our side. But to be honest with you though, the truth of the matter is that the majority of people in America don't support these wars, and we want to pull out of all these wars. But you know, I mean, we don't hold the government accountable. So
if you go on Fox, if someone goes on Fox News, like Tulsi Gabbard goes on Fox News, goes on CNN, MSNBC, talks against those regime change wars, all of a sudden something's wrong with her. And you know, and she is one of the most level-headed people on the face of the earth. If you just
absolutely,
she's a veteran, and she understands the cost of war. She understands the toll that war takes on people, not just the troops themselves, but on the families that have to basically pay the cost of the lives of their young ones, because it's young men in war, and people coming back with PTSD, people coming back with medical problems that we have to take care of. You know,
can't get a job.
And not to mention, it's expensive. We spend billions and trillions of dollars on war. Money could be used in order to improve social programs in America. When people say Medicare for all, they're like, well, who's going to pay for it? Well, we're going to pay for it.
We can.
When they say, college for all, and who's going to pay for it? We're going to pay for it. You know what I mean? We can.
Wait, hold on. Hey, you guys, look, this is about to come out of left field. We got a question, but I'm going to ask you guys because it came out of left field. what's your name? Narav A. Yeah, we're gonna read this. He say, hello. Can I please ask for some advice? My juicy black girlfriend recently asked me to whip her in bed, but I feel uncomfortable because of the slavery thing that people claim in the past. Do you have advice? I know that has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but we're gonna address it. Don't think that we won't address it. We're gonna address it. He say that he want to whip his girl, but he don't want to. He's nervous about the slavery connotation. What advice do you guys have for him?
Do what makes you happy, makes her happy, dog. It is what it is.
I say dress up. I say dress her up like a runaway slave and catch her in the backyard or something and take her in the house and whip her and shit. Play. I say play out the whole fantasy. I don't give a fuck. I ain't got no problem with whatever you do in your bedroom. You could be a secret racist in your bedroom.
Make sure you have a safe word.
Three T's. Don't put him on timeout. Let him get his troll on. Get your troll on. We ain't afraid of it. Go ahead. Get back to Netflix.
Put him on. Make sure you have a safe word though.
The safe word is master.
So there you go, man. If you having issues and you don't know what to do and you want to go ahead and put the whip to your gal, if she's asking for it, it sounds like these two fine gentlemen are telling you, make it happen. And Robert said, have a safe word. So let's go ahead and get back to the conflicts. And hey, we don't run from no questions now. Come on now. I don't think they know that we do know how to have fun around here, Prince.
Yeah, they don't know. They think we be all serious, but we just be when we working. You know what I'm saying? But don't think shit sweet, nigga. We can flip the switch in a heartbeat on y'all weird ass niggas anytime we want to.
Yeah, Tyrone is sitting in front of a green screen and just being black fun for you. Well, there you have it. Whatever that means. And look, and you tell us about world conflicts. And so look, let's get back to it. So the reason America, do we strong arm everybody always for resources? Because what you always hear you say, America is going into this conflict for American interests. So what does that mean, Robert? Is it always literally like our interest, or is it just a financial interest sometimes?
Well, that's what they mean by American interest. It's there's gold and plunder to be had. You got to remember, okay, and this is each one of these guys, these politicians, they study other governments of the past. They study rulers of the past. They all think they're all trying to be Julius Caesar, believe it or not.
Okay.
So you got to remember that they're trying to go and win riches and plunder for the nation. They want to be known as great in war, mighty, because that's how you used to be a famous and big time leader back in those days. You have to go out and conquer some stuff.
Okay.
So they
think
this is still back in the day. They still think this is antiquity.
Okay.
So they think they still have to be these kind of conquerors and things of that nature to be known as great leaders. And so they're basically trying to be Julius Caesar. So anywhere that there's plunder to be had, they're going to go there. And they're always looking for new opportunities. It's funny how we're always in a deficit, but we always got people, they're always going to take the natural resources away from poor people. Because those are the people that suffer the most. It's not the rich people in that country that suffer, they leave. The poor people, they're the ones that are stuck there. They're the ones that when the bombs start dropping, they can't get out of there. Right. And they're the ones that die.
So they're the ones that are affected the most. And touching on what we were saying earlier and what Prince was saying, so a lot of these times, and you mentioned it too, Robert, when we see these caravans, we see people coming up, refugees. A lot of the times, what you're saying is we're the antithesis or the reason that they're coming to America anyway is because we destabilize their region, and then when they come here, we want to be like, "What the hell you want?" Is that what you're saying?
You remember in 2016 when President Trump was coming into office, there was a thing about the Syrian refugees and how many we should take, and he was trying to put a travel ban on the border. He wanted those Syrians coming in, and they thought it should be the Europeans' problem in order to take all these Syrian refugees. Mm-hmm. But we have a large part in the destabilization of what's going on in Syria because Barack Obama bombed Syria until he didn't even have any more bombs to bomb them with. Right. Literally. They even dropped the mother of all bombs on there, a Moab bomb, bunker buster bomb, that's only rival in size to nuclear weapons. So
they didn't hit nobody with that bomb. No, they did that shit for show. They told everybody to clear it. No, it was real. Like they told the Russians to leave, and they don't really want
airspace. They cleared everything. There was nothing even destroyed. That was just a show of bluster. And let's see. Somebody says on a talk show, you're not supposed to speak Ebonics or something like that. What are you talking
like that? They literally said or something like that. You're not supposed to speak Ebonics or something like that.
Watch BET.
First of all, we talking to the people, so we talk like the people because we are the people. So what you want us to talk like? You want us to sound all professional and shit? We ain't at work. We gonna talk. That's not who we talking to. You know what I'm saying? I think Robert speaks very proper. I think he sounds very professional. You know what I'm saying? I think Tyrone speaks real professional for the most part, and you know, I'm about 82% professional.
I'm about to go full Ebonics on him real quick. It can happen. Look, and Naraf A says, "Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate the advice. She wants me to call her dirty slave and whip her until it hurts, and she starts crying. I was hesitant at first, but I'm going to go all out. Thank you." Well, you're welcome.
Go balls to the wall. Go balls to the wall, man.
Before you go, hit the like, subscribe, hit that bell notification bell. That way you know. Let us know what happened on a later show. Let us know how that went.
Yep. Tune back in and let us know how the whipping went or whatever it is that you. What is that? S&M or whatever it is you do.
Yeah, that's S&M. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you happen to go to jail, let us know how your stay was. And we'll be here for you.
Hey, that's a
we'll be here to laugh.
Once we start talking about regime change wars or something, somebody got to come in. He's like, wait a minute. They snuck that bought and paid for troll, sneak them in there.
Yep, that's what they do that in real life. But I was gonna say to what Tyrone was talking about. Ask the question again, Tyrone.
About the refugees when they come over and then we act like we don't know why they're here. That question?
Yeah. So we don't know why. Like, and when you say we, and when I say we, I'm speaking for the general population. I'm not saying that like nobody knows. Yeah, government officials, they know exactly why they're here.
General public, right.
The general public, we don't know, right? Because we're not paying attention because we are believing that we are the good guys. So we think that like of course we think that they're here because we have this incredible standard of living that's just like that far surpasses anything that they've ever seen, and that's why they want to come here and yada yada yada. But that's not the case. You know what I'm saying? Like I look at it as like, how desperate does a person have to be to want to leave their fucking homeland? You know what I'm saying? Like how bad?
You gotta walk 4,000 miles.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like it's like and it's dangerous. It ain't like it's not like they're just on some trek or they're just on some mission and they just mobbing through the fucking wilderness. Like it's threats like left and right, dude. Like, and it's women and children, and like, get the fuck out of here, man. If you're willing to do that, it's for a reason. And the main reason is because we are America. When I say we, I mean that in the loosest term, the loosest way you could use it, because I have nothing to do with this shit. I'm against all of this shit. But we as the people in America, we are destabilizing their country, and in places like Syria, and now we're in Somalia, we're in the Sudan. Obama promised when he got into office, or before he got into office, he said he was gonna get us out of the two wars we were in at the time, which was Afghanistan and Iran, right? Which were all based on a lie. You know what I'm saying? And I don't even want to get into the 9/11 lie, but just even if you believe 9/11 was executed by who they said it was, we still shouldn't have been in Iraq, I should say, not Iran. We still shouldn't have been in Iraq. So we got into those wars based on a lie. The truth came out during Obama's administration. The truth came out even while Bush was in office. We knew that he was fucking lying. So they fastballed this. Obama said, hey, look, check this out. I'm gonna get us out of these two wars, and I'm gonna bring the troops home. And he did. Instead, he started, I think, another 5 wars. So you can't, and you look at what he had, and you look at what it took for him to start those 5 wars. It wasn't easy. It was fairly easy for him to start those other 5 wars, right? Like it took 9/11 for America to go to Iraq and Afghanistan, right? It took 9/11. It took 9/11 and weapons of mass destruction. You know what I'm saying? Because it should have been just 9/11 should have been okay, cool. But no, it took 9/11 and weapons of mass destruction, right? Okay. And the American people were totally, we were on board. We were gung ho, yeah, we got to get them motherfuckers and yada yada yada. And then that shit wore off, and we started to be like, okay, they lied to us. And then so we didn't want to be there anymore. But when Obama started his 5 wars, it was very little pushback. Like, I don't remember people pushing. Like, people aren't pushing back against us being in Somalia right now. They're not pushing back against.
He had he was popular, and people seem to not push back against things that are popular. Hey, hold on. Let me stop it one more time. I want to break something down. We got some very interesting people today in the crowd. We do like you guys here. You could get your troll on. You just might not know. You might be trolling with the best. We might be good at this. Look,
I'm King Troll.
Look, Prince. Look, he says, do you think that as a Black individual, your name holds any value to your treatment in society? I feel as if though the name Prince might give you some authority. Then he says, Tyrone, on the other hand. And so, hold on, let me show you. But here, let me show him something real quick. Meaning in history. From the name and country in Northern Ireland, which is derived from the Irish Gaelic Tir Egon, meaning the land of Egon. This was popularized by American actor Tyrone Powers, who was named after his great-grandfather, which was an Irish actor. And there you go. That's Tyrone Powers. That's what you get for thinking Tyrone was a Black name, thinking you was making fun of somebody Black.
It's messed up. It's the funny part about it is that nowadays Tyrone is it basically is a Black name, though.
Right. That's just Black name. That's what people think. I'll take it either way. That's what I was named. But look, so does this Tyrone have any importance to his name? Or is it just me that don't have any importance to my name because of Tyrone? But we're going to get back to the world conflicts. Go ahead. Get your troll on. Everybody get your troll on. Hey, let's talk. Yeah. Go ahead, Robert.
Shame on the people on the Nobel Prize board because they gave Barack Obama a Nobel Peace Prize. Trying to make
they did.
Martin Luther King. Meanwhile, he's bombing the shit out of poor people.
Yep.
Shame on the Nobel Peace Prize.
With drones from far away.
With drones, yeah. With drones, and they are only hitting they were hitting 10% of their targets, and they went and told the DOJ. They told them, they said, hey, look, man, these drone strikes are only hitting 10% of our targets. Should we stop them? And they said, no, keep it going.
Right. Look, Marcus Wright says, my question is, how do we get our people interested in politics? Which is a good question. And Altmaster, hey man, hey, you the man. Keep it coming. We love it. But how do we get people more involved in politics? And we were talking about world conflicts, but we can take a detour and talk about this. This is important, and both of these gentlemen, I do think, are well versed at that question. Robert and Prince, how do we get people more interested in voting?
Well, you got to, first of all, it starts off with there's a personal responsibility in the civic system, but I think that our people have been disenfranchised from the system for so long that we don't think it works for us. We don't understand the power that we actually have as citizens. And what we need to do is we need to familiarize ourselves with power, where it lies. See, black people, even rich black people, they're not always interested in power, but power is important. And when you start to study what power and how assets and how values are allocated in through any kind of government system, you start to understand that as a minority, to be as disinterested in power as we are putting ourselves at a great disadvantage when it comes to economically and things of that nature. Usually people get into politics when they look at the world around them in a way that, and they get mad and fired up and realize something needs to change. They start looking for power, because you got to have power to change things. And but when you got groups of people out here that are specifically talking to black people, trying to separate them from their power, the power that they can possess in this process, it's very hard to get our people interested in politics, because they don't see how it affects them day to day. Some people is like, look, it doesn't matter who the president is, I'm gonna be broke anyway, or I'm gonna be rich anyway. And if you're living your life just to be broke or rich, then of course, keep doing what you're doing. But if you look around at what you're, not just yourself, but you look around at what other people are going through, and you understand that you have to understand that that change requires you to understand power so that we can go after it. And that's when people get more engaged in the process.
I would say that the number one thing for me that keeps me engaged into politics is recognizing or seeing how it affects me. So if you try to understand the system, right? I mean, it's not just one system. America is a place full of systems. You know what I mean? Like, so like they talk about in the Matrix, it's like every system is connected. So if one system fails, then the whole system will fail, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, so if it's the financial system, then all the systems will crash. If it's the education system, whatever. So you just go down the line. So once we understand how everything is connected and how it all affects us, because what happens a lot of times is we like to think that things don't affect us. You know what I'm saying? Like people who don't understand, you know what I'm saying? Who don't have the information. I hear it all the time. They be like Robert was saying, they'll say something like in a flippant way. They'll be like, well, I'm gonna be poor anyway, or that nigga ain't stopping me, or I don't need to wait on nobody, whatever the case may be. And I'm like, dude, I could show you right now 20 different ways that the government affects you that you have no fucking control over. I'm saying, and when I say that, I'm saying like there's nothing you can do to counter it. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no hustle. There's none of that shit. Like if the air is poison and the water is poison, what the fuck are you talking about? You can't grow air. You can't grow water. You're not in control of it. You know what I'm saying? Like it is like it's all the way around you. It's all the way around you. So the government has programs, or they have deregulated certain industries to the point to where now they can contaminate our air and they can contaminate our water. You know what I'm saying? And these are vital basic needs for every human being to survive. and yet you're acting like it doesn't affect you. And I'm like, nigga, that shit affects you. You know what I'm saying? Like, fuck, like I know we like to think about gas prices, and you know, we think monetarily. The first places I go when I think about stuff is not money. I think about the environment. I think about literally like the things that keep me alive. Those are the first things I think about. I think about food, I think about water, and I think about air. And if you could just necessities, like, you know what I'm saying? So, because I know this whole shit could be taken away at any point in time. Anything that this system is built on could be taken away at any given time. So the whole system could crash whenever. You know what I'm saying? And I fully expect it to crash at some point in time, right? So I'm never looking at it like, well, I got to get a job, or I'm never looking at it from an economic standpoint or anything like that. I'm always looking at it from a basic needs standpoint. And I'm like, dude, the sooner we realize that these motherfuckers, because they control all the resources, right? And since they control the government and so on and so forth, and they make the rules, the sooner we realize that the things that they're doing, like I said, if they deregulate, if they fucking say that it's okay to frack, right? And they start fracking in fucking South Dakota, or they start, you know what I'm saying? Like, and now this releasing all these toxic fumes in the water supply. And, but in the river that runs through South Dakota, we get water from South Dakota, or somebody in another state gets their water from South Dakota. Now your water is contaminated. You know what I'm saying? Now they deregulated the meat industry, and they said that you could dump your fucking your pig feces and your whatever the fuck, you can dump that shit in this place that is just so happens to be where in this town, it just so happens to have a 90% population of black people, and now you got all these black people that's getting cancer. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is, like, these things affect us every single day. And the sooner we start to realize that, then the sooner we'll understand, like Robert was saying, we'll understand the power dynamic. I'm sorry, that we'll start to want to be involved, I guess, more in the power dynamic and kind of get some power for ourselves. You know what I'm saying? And one of the ways that we have power is voting. And a lot of people don't believe in voting, right? But the question I would ask those people is this: if voting didn't matter, then why do they try so hard to make sure you can't vote? You know what I'm saying? Like, if it doesn't matter, they wouldn't waste any time gerrymandering. They wouldn't waste any time rigging elections. They wouldn't waste any time getting on fucking spreading lies about Bernie Sanders, or spreading lies about Tulsi Gabbard, or about people that'll actually help you. They wouldn't do that if it didn't matter. You know what I'm saying? But it matters though. Like, right. even one of the things, and I'm gonna end it on this as far as this point. One of the things that I didn't like about what Colin Kaepernick said when he was, you know, in the forefront, he said that he didn't vote. And even though I respected his right to not vote, because that's his right, I'm not saying that everybody should vote. You know what I mean? Like, I think everybody should vote, but I'm saying, like, you do have the right to not vote. You dig what I'm saying? Like, so I respected that he had, but the thing that I didn't appreciate from that was because he's black and he was leading a black movement, and he basically reinforced a lot of those negative stereotypes about voting. Like, yeah, see, it don't work. Even Cap said it don't work. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, that was his time.
Platform to put out that type of message, and you saying that wasn't maybe that shouldn't have been put out to the masses as something cool to do. Yeah, he could have kept that to himself. He could have not voted and not participated in it and told his inner circle. But then he could have or if he said he didn't vote, he could have said why he didn't vote, but then also said, but I voted in the past, or I think that voting could be better if we do, like, you know what I'm saying, or something like that. But he just said, oh, well, I didn't vote because it don't work, so why would I vote? And I'm like, yeah, that's not right. That wasn't very, you needed to finish that thought, man. Like, even though well-crafted statement, it wasn't. It was left empty. And look, we got a couple more questions, I think, that are good questions. And and Isaac says, you ever do guests on the show? All the time, Isaac. That's what the show is about. It's about getting different points of view from different people. You can send me your email address right now, and we'll send you the link and put you on. We love having guests on the show. It's actually literally all about the guests. Let's see. Altmaster 102 says, the civic system doesn't apply to us because we were pushed down in society for so long. We need to get people excited, and I think my boy Bern does that. Thoughts. And so he wants to know thoughts about Bernie. Hold on, but before we go to that, there's something else that went with it. Narav A says Bernie would be a perfect candidate if he wasn't a dumb socialist. So go ahead, you guys. Let's talk about this. Y'all feel a burn? What's going on?
Oh man.
So wait. So if he wasn't a dumb socialist, I don't get that. First of all, it's like, do you agree with him or not? Because if you agree with him, but you call him a dumb socialist, you might be a dumb socialist.
Do you agree with Narav A? Let us know. Do you agree?
Don't get caught up in a label. Do you agree that healthcare is a right? Do you agree that education is a right? Do you agree that we need to get out of regime change wars? Do you agree that we need to protect our environment? If so, you are a Bernie Sanders supporter, because Bernie Sanders is not about the person, it's about the ideas that the person has. And you need to stop looking at people and stop listening to mainstream media and start looking truly at whose policies are going to change what's going on and who has engaged the people to the point where he can actually get it done in Washington. That's point blank, period. If you agree with those four things, you might as well you should be with Bernie. If you say he'd be perfect, except for he's a dumb socialist, you can't get caught up in the title of a socialist, because he's not even a socialist like you're thinking.
He's not a socialist like me, because I'm a 100% socialist.
Right. He's not a socialist like Prince. He's not
Marx.
Right. He's about social democracy, so he's still involving some free markets and things of that nature. But that's beside the point. It really is come down to the platform of his campaign with Bernie. The number one thing though about Bernie that makes him viable as a candidate is he's been the same guy for about 40 years. He's been the same guy. He's always the same thing he's running on now is the same thing he's been running on his whole career. He has not changed his views. He has never taken money from corporations. He has never been a bought and paid for just establishment guy. He's an independent. He's free of the Democratic Party. And he's free of the Republican Party. They don't run him his campaign money. His obligation is to the people. And so when his policy is a reflection of populist
platform
policies, right? So he's just going by what's most popular. What do people want? What do the people want? And he's adopting those policies. He's working with that, and that's what. And what else do you want from a politician than to listen to the people and to do what the people want?
Right.
Perfect.
And go ahead, Prince. You got something you want to add? Somebody said, "Where's Prince?" He right here. Go ahead, Prince.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Thanks, man. I was gonna say. So Bernie is, to answer the first part of the question, the before the comment about the stupid socialists or whatever that guy said. To answer the first question is that a problem that's going on right now with Bernie's campaign as far as it relates to Black people is this thing that we did a whole video on it, but that ADOS movement is one of them, and a lot of Black people pump faking about this reparation shit. You know what I'm saying? And when I say pump faking, I'm not saying that there aren't. Of course, Black people deserve reparations, and we need reparations for the most part. But I'm saying that acting like if you aren't coming out and just being like, yeah, I'm gonna give you reparations, then I'm not gonna vote for you. But I've heard those very same people turn around and say that they will vote for Elizabeth Warren or Cory Booker or some stupid shit like that. And I'm like, what the fuck are y'all talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like, so to me, when I hear people, anybody that's talking that stuff, as far as I'm concerned, you should not vote for anybody then, right? Because none of them are saying they're going to give you reparations, if that's the case, right? So don't vote for anybody. You know what I mean? But that you would come out and then turn around and then be like, well, yeah, well, I'm gonna vote for him and I'll vote for her, and I'm like, yeah. So you're being manipulated because the mainstream media has picked up on that too. Like the mainstream media don't give a fuck about black people getting reparations. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, they don't want it, I should say. They care about it. They don't want us to get it. So, and they know it's not going to happen anytime soon. So they know that they could play with it. They know that they could show like, well, Bernie supports reparations, not so fast. You know, they could do all those headlines and gotcha moments and shit like that, and try to put them on a hot seat. And then, and then we live in this social media era where we get shit in tidbits, and that's why I don't want to use it, but I'm gonna use it. But that's why I say the meme knowledge all the time, because a lot of niggas just got meme knowledge and they just see like a clip of something, or they see just a picture of something, and then it's like, oh, see, he don't. And I'm like, dude, but you haven't been listening to him. And if you follow him, or if you follow a Tulsi Gabbard or whoever you follow, they have track records. You know what I'm saying? And you like over this much time, I feel like you should be able to tell what type of person he is, right? Maybe I wouldn't say the same thing about even like AOC, which I like AOC for the most part, but I don't really know, like even at this point, I don't know who she is. I don't know, and meaning going forward, I don't know who she is. She's fucking like 30 years old. I don't know who she's gonna be in 10 years. She seems cool. She can end up taking the Obama deal and selling this out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't fucking know, but right now she's cool. I like her. I support her. But Bernie Sanders is fucking damn near 80 years old, man. So at some point you got to be like, okay, this is who the fuck he is. You know, and when I say that, I'm saying, is he racist? No. Do you think he's anti-black? No, because I've asked the very same people that said that he was, you know, reparations and all that stuff, and they hate him now, and he's an old Jew, and he's white, and they don't trust him. And then I'll be like, but do you think he's anti-black? And they'll be like, no. And I'm like, okay, so if you think he's not, so now let me ask you this. Do you think that if somehow, some way, somebody in Congress or whatever proposed a bill to pass something and he was president and they passed something for reparations, you think he wouldn't sign it? You know what I'm saying? Like, because if he ain't anti-black and he ain't against black people and he seems like he's for black people, then what makes you think that if we had the opportunity to get something like reparations, he wouldn't be on board with it? He's just not trying to.
If it crossed his desk, you're saying he'll probably sign it just based on the history of what he's been doing in the past.
Yeah, I don't see why you would think anything other than that. But then those very same, and then also we don't understand that saying, or we either don't understand or don't care or whatever. But saying you are going to give black people reparations right now is literally political suicide, and nobody has said. Nobody has come out and said that they're going to give black people reparations. The people were praising Cory Booker. Cory Booker said that he's presenting like he wants to start a commission to study reparations. I'm like, shut the fuck up, man. Study reparations, nigga.
Pass me some of that money to study them.
Yeah, like
I'll study.
I could tell you what it is. It's 40 acres and a mule, nigga. What are we studying? We already know what that is. Like,
I don't want the mule though. They gave away the mule because the mule can't reproduce. Once that mule's dead, it's done. Hey, let me go, and I'm gonna ask another question because we got some decent questions. And again, it's from Altmaster 102. He says, do you think white America voting in large for Donald Trump was a semi-racial issue in the sense that they pushed back on getting a black man in office for 8 years? So he's saying, was it white backlash? Was it backlash to Obama?
That's what they would want you to believe. But this is what happened. Yep. This is why we have Trump, because Obama was a terrible president. Let's just keep it real. Because Obama.
Hold on, Robert. Can you add a caveat to that and say, for people, because you know people as Obama dick riders, Obama wasn't a terrible president in comparison to every other president, and he wasn't a terrible president as far as like his personality or anything like that. Like, he was smart and all, he was charismatic and all that shit that y'all like about him.
The dude.
Me too. He was terrible. His policies were terrible. That's what you mean when you say he was terrible, right?
And not even in theory, because when he was running, the things that he ran on, the change platform was beautiful. It was something, it was inspiring. It was engaging. It got young people out. It got black people out. It got people that would not normally vote to get out and vote for him. When he got into office, though, he realized when he established push. See, a politician is one thing when everything is free and clear, and another thing when they establish pushback. See, but one thing that you have to be a president is political courage. But if you read Obama's books, you find that he is the biggest compromiser you're going to ever meet. He tries to make everybody happy.
No Obama.
He's like a people pleaser as a president.
No drama, Obama. And I do remember they would say he's an appeaser. It'd be like appeaser. And then people thought they were talking about vegetables when they said appease. But look, pulpit revolt says no, populist revolt. Okay, says populist revolt says where we go. Don't vote Democrat. Even black people don't vote Democrat. They will replace your communities with immigration. It'll be harder for you and your offspring to get a job due to higher demand. And that's something I've heard from a bunch of people. So it's not a
I agree. Don't vote Democrat.
Okay.
Vote for Bernie Sanders.
But can I say this though? Okay, I agree with them because the numbers would say that they're telling the truth, right? The problem is that's not the problem though. The problem is like what Robert, what this whole thing started off as is stop creating these we need to push back against these regime change wars, and then it'll stop all of these fucking immigrants from coming into America. I'm saying, like I always say this all the time, right? Like I talk to right-wing people about this shit all the time. And I tell them, I say, look, even if you're being selfish, even if you know, you're only thinking about yourself or whatever, and you don't give a fuck about an immigrant and you hate everybody that don't look like you and don't live in your bubble, right? Okay, cool. Even you should be against us going to other countries and trying to oust their duly elected officials, right? So even you should, like, I'm saying, being selfish, being a true American, you should be like, no, fuck that. I don't want that shit. And good on us as American people. We don't want that, right? But we need to take it a step further and push back and hold the government accountable. But we don't. So that's why they don't stop it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't agree with don't vote Democrat or Republican. That I don't care if you have a D or an R next to your name. Vote your policies. Vote for the things that are going to help you the most. AOC is a Democrat. You're telling me I shouldn't vote for AOC. Ro Khanna is a Democrat. You're telling me I shouldn't vote for Ro Khanna. You know what I'm saying? Like why not? Why wouldn't I vote for them? They're dope. You know what I mean? We share the same values.
Also, this is how you know the anti-regime change war theme is very popular. Trump ran on that in 2016. That was one of the things that Trump ran on.
He did.
He was going to get us out of Syria. He's going to get us out of Afghanistan. He's going to get us out. He's going to end regime change wars. He did that. Now, I believe that he, in his heart, wanted to do that. But I don't understand why you then get John Bolton to be your national security advisor if you want to get out of regime change wars. He put warmongers all around him after he got into office. And their influence. I think more so than Trump wanting to be in these wars, I think Trump cares about money. I think that these people are influencing Trump and they're manipulating him into goading Iran into
Robert,
involve these conflicts.
You see, when he went to North Korea, the first thing he noticed was the beachfront property. He was like, you guys could put a condo right here. You guys could put a resort right here. I know your people only eat once a week, but you know, that's
crazy.
Yeah. Remember that when he went to go visit what's his name, Kim Jong-un.
Kim Jong-un, yeah.
Yeah, and that was the first. That's the first thing he noticed was like, hey, you guys got some good beachfront property. You guys might want to fix this. Let me see.
Here's the.
Go ahead.
But I was gonna say, and here's the thing though. Also with that is that Trump ran on that platform. He ran on a lot of platforms. He actually said that the Republican Party was going to be the healthcare, the party that gave everybody healthcare too. He ran on tons of populist, on most of the populist platform. No more wars, healthcare for all, jobs. Only thing he did, honestly, the only thing he left out was fixing was addressing the environment, right? So that is why Trump won. Those are the main reasons why Trump won, right? And then he also got, because his base alone couldn't have won him the election. You see what I'm saying? His base isn't enough. What the thing that put him over the top were the people that weren't necessarily caring about that immigration talk and all that. They didn't care about that. But when he started saying stuff like I'm gonna get us out of these wars, and you know what I mean, and so on and so forth, and they were like, okay, well, I can ignore that other shit if you do that. But just FYI, if you voted for him, you are a racist. So because you turned a blind eye to all the other shit, and if you support a racist, you are a racist. So I don't, I'm not mincing my words here, but I just want everybody to know that it wasn't just because we like to relegate this shit to he's racist and that's why racist people voted for him. And I'm like, every president has been racist. You know what I'm saying? Like even Obama was racist. You know what I mean? Like look at all the wars he started. Look at all the countries he ain't bombing no white countries. You know what I'm saying? He's bombing all 90% brown countries. You know what I mean? Like, so to me he's a racist. He's an American imperialist or whatever you want to call it. But that wasn't the main thing that got people on board for Trump. The main thing that got people on board for Trump was him running on a populist platform.
Okay. And then look, you guys, we got a populist revolt, and he's talking to 3T. It says, at 3Ts, their ancestors can't take their dead. He says, how about black people go to work for what they want? Reparations will never happen. It's a false appeal to get the black vote.
I agree with him.
Yeah.
I don't know about never happened. I don't know about never happened. I agree.
But you know what though? There's people that said that women's suffrage would never happen. So what I'm saying is this: if you're saying worry about what black people do with their political power, let them do what they want to do with their political power. If that's what they feel, that's what they want. And when the people get to what they want, we have as much of a right to speak up for what we want as anybody else. Even if that doesn't become a reality, guess what? That's part of the democracy, though, is the fact that we can speak up and say. So to say, give up, do this, because reparations has nothing to do with work and jobs. It has nothing to do with it. Okay. So I think that's a very, I don't even have the adjective for what, it's short-sighted. Let's put it that way. You're not thinking hard in order to make that comment. And I would really urge the guy that's making those comments to think a little deeper before you just kind of make off the cuff comments and try to stifle other people's democratic rights, which is to speak up for things they believe in.
All right, and populist revolt. I would love to have you on. If you ever want to come on, you guys just let me know. You too, Isaac Garrell. If you guys want to come on, he says Prince is a real one. This man is going places. You're absolutely right.
Absolutely.
This guy is going places. He always got on a shirt I wish I had in my closet. Let me see. Paper Dollhouse, it says, you may have something there at populist because there's too many factors for that, including mixing within bloodlines. And that's Nashane talking about the reparations. And yeah, Paper Dollhouses, we might do another show after this one. We might get to talking about twerking. I know that's off topic for this one, but we might get to talking about the twerking.
Hey, can I be on that panel?
I wanna watch. I need y'all to show a lot of videos. Hey, I was gonna say though. So real quick about what Ashane was saying, or about whatever they're saying. Like I, just so people could understand it, I personally don't think reparations is going to happen in our democracy as it's set up right now. I don't think it's possible for us to vote it in, or I don't think anybody is going to make it happen I don't believe that. I personally believe that the only way we're going to get reparations is if some blood is shed. That's just what I believe. And I'm not advocating for that. I'm just telling you what I actually think it would take for it to happen. You know what I'm saying? Because the truth of the matter is that the money is so great. The money that they owe us, it's like $14 trillion or whatever and I think that's conservative. $14 trillion that they owe us. You know what I'm saying? So we would essentially bankrupt this country. To me, that's how I'm looking at it.
As far as the mixing of the blood thing is, Nashane, they discriminated against people by the one drop rule. They should be giving out reparations by the one drop rule. Off top, let's just call it that.
Amen. Amen. If your family, the way that they got it set up now, they said if anybody in your family, in your bloodline, was a slave, was a slave, then you are a descendant of a slave, which is true, and you would qualify for reparations.
It's some white people. It's some white people you're gonna see with reparations if they ever get.
I was gonna say, I would just be Robert. That's exactly what I was thinking when I read that too. I said, oh, so it's some white people out here that's gonna get reparations. I bet you they're gonna slowly start to hear them. Yeah, maybe we should be on this reparation.
It's gonna be some straight KKK members with reparations if they start giving it out.
Oh man, so you guys say that reparations might not be everything that it looked like. Christian Nuya, thanks for watching, Christian. Thanks for tuning in. Christian, I seen you. You came over here from Duke. Thank you. I gotta tell Duke thanks for that. And she said Trump loves buildings. He sure do. He sure did go to North Korea and say, oh, you guys have a wonderful shoreline. You guys should build hotels.
Hey, and just to bring it up, Tyrone, those regime change wars, if we're trying to bring peace, if we're trying to get North Korea to back out of their nuclear program, breaking our nuclear deal with Iran and provoking a regime change war with Iran is the number one way to make sure that never happens. Because if they can't trust the signature of a U.S. president on a deal, they've stopped making deals with you. And that's what that's what they're going to. That's why Kim Jong-un, he's not dumb. He knows about American imperialism. He looks at it. His dad probably let him know, like, look, don't ever make deals with these Americans, because as soon as you disarm yourself, they're gonna try to overthrow you. That's what they did that's what they're trying to do to Iran right now.
Right. Look, hold on. We got something real quick. Go ahead, Prince. And after that, we're gonna take a quick hard left turn. You know, we get a hard left turn every now and then. I'm gonna give a hard left turn to you guys via way of one of the comments by Isaac. Go ahead, Prince.
No, I was just gonna say that is the only thing that's stopping America from toppling Kim Jong-un is the fact that he has nukes. And that's the only thing, you know what I'm saying? Like that's it. So if he didn't have nukes, he would have been they would have toppled that government 50 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So they and also I want to say this, because we've been talking about this for a few days, and we're talking about Korea right now. The way this is just a side note, this is a little left turn too, but I just thought about it since we were talking about Korea. So if you study the history of Korea, North and South Korea, but specifically South Korea in this particular instance, if you study the history of South Korea, if you look at the war and all that stuff, so post-war, right, Korea was in shambles. Korea was broken. It was a broken country, right? Like most countries are after war. The winners and the losers are usually broken after war, right? It usually takes a lot to win a war. So if you look at Korea, South Korea post-war, the thing that they focused on though the most was education, and they started to invest their money into all of these into their children, into the next generation. And it literally only took 50, 60 years, and now South Korea, you look at a place like Seoul, Korea is like mini New York. You know what I'm saying? It's Tokyo, it's London, it's whatever. It's up there with all of the biggest cities in the world. And they did that through putting all their money into education. So I just want to let people know that the stuff that we're talking about, it wouldn't take it. It's things that we could realize in our lifetime. Like we could see it, like our children will reap the benefits. You know what I'm saying? So we need to, because a lot of times I think people don't want to do stuff. They don't want to fight for change. So they think like, okay, it changes, and how's it going to benefit me in the now? And I'm like, it will benefit you in the now. Like, I guarantee you things will get better almost instantly. You know what I mean? So we need to, I think that's really important for us to keep in mind.
All right. And look, go ahead. And I'm going to throw we got a comment out here, and I noticed it was somebody talking to 3 T's. It's Isaac Garwell says, do you personally know any victims of police violence at 3 T's, or is it just stuff you hear on the news? I just want to say this. Police violence for a lot of people is not just something that you hear on the news. I can name numerous people that I know personally who have been shot and killed by the police.
That's
I
right.
got beat up by the police before myself. I done had a gun put to my head by the police. I did a story a couple weeks ago about a lady in Baytown, Texas. Did I know her personally? No. But I'm sitting there talking to my cousin last week. She live in his apartments. So in 3T's, 3T's answer was Isaac, I know several people, and whenever it happens, it affects me. You guys speak to that. Do you guys know anybody who's ever been affected by police violence, or is it just something you see on the news?
I probably know Tyrone. I knew Taisha Miller.
Taisha, yeah, she got shot up sitting in her car.
Wow.
In Rubino.
That was a long time ago. That's when they first was putting them on. That was when they was first getting mad at people.
Yeah, man. I knew Ezell Ford. I knew a buddy of mine named Jorge. He got shot in the back by the police. They said he was on a stolen bike walking out the store.
Otha Lee Tucker. Otha Lee Tucker got shot 6 times in the back. He's 15 years old. He was just at my house the day before. He got shot 6 times in the back, running away from the police because he did jack a car, but he got killed. He was just a kid. They paid in Riverside County. Riverside County paid his mom $2.1 million.
Janine Stover. We were still in high school. Police ran in. She jumped behind the couch to hide, and they lit her up. Man, all right. I just wanted to add that in 3T's. We got your back. I just seen that floating out there, and I thought that I might say it. And I seen another one. Populist Revolt says, instead of begging for reparations, why don't you shine a light on the blacks being enslaved by the Arabs right now in Libya?
Because I ain't it. But hold on. First of all, we are doing that right now. That's what we're talking about. That's what this whole
he must have just tuned into the show. I brought it up.
Yeah,
we talked about that first populist revolt.
Yeah, we're talking about that right now. But second of all, I'm empathetic to a lot of plights, to almost everybody's plight around the world, but I'm not in Libya. Like, I'm in America, man. I'm not on no Oprah shit. If I get $10 trillion, if I'm worth $4 billion, I'm not gonna build a goddamn school in Africa. I'm gonna build it. I'm gonna do some shit in America first, because this is where I'm at, motherfucker. Like, I'm tired of that shit. Stop fucking deflecting. Stop using that shit as a crutch. Anytime black people start talking about shit that's wrong in America, you want to bring up some shit that's wrong halfway across the motherfucking globe. That's fucked up. What's happening in Libya, and I think that Tyrone, me, and Robert all agree that shit shouldn't be happening. I don't think any of us think that shit is cool. But at the same time, no, it's shit that's happening right here in America that we need to address. And one thing we need to address in America is what about the slavery that's going on in America? I thought whoever that was going to mention the industrial prison complex when he said the word slavery. But then he went far left and mentioned fucking Libya. Like, get the fuck out of here.
But also he didn't mention is the fact that the reason that there is slavery, because Gaddafi didn't have slavery in Libya. It's a slavery in Libya because the United States went over there and destabilized their government and killed their leader. That's why it's happening now. So when we say stop regime change wars, we're trying to prevent another Libya from happening. So again, very short-sighted of you, and you need to use a little bit of brain power before you start speaking. That way we can give your questions the honor that they deserve. I know you're smarter than that.
Well, he got another comment, and I'm just going to try to make sure that I am reading all the comments. And Nashane says, and this is Nashane, and I'm down for that topic. Hey, we're going to be talking about the twerk, Nasha. But Populist Revolt says, you guys want to know real slavery? Go find out about Stalin, who was a Jew. His USSR under communism. Then you'll see hell. Go watch The Greatest Story Never Told.
Okay, so if you want to talk about quote unquote real slavery, we know what real slavery is because we're black and we're in America. So I don't like that. That's almost condescending to me. Like, y'all don't know about real slavery. real slavery happened in Russia. Get the fuck out of here. I'm not saying it wasn't bad in Russia, because it was bad in Russia. They, like, literally, the word slave came from the word from the word Slavic. That's where the word came from. That's how we got the word slave. So I mean, that's how they got their names. I'm sorry, the Slavics, because they were slaves. So don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that shit wasn't terrible, but they didn't go through 400 years of that shit. You know what I'm saying? They didn't go through it the way like we went through it, in a way that we going through it now. So I don't want to hear nothing about no fuck. Once again, I don't want to hear anything about some shit that's happening or happened halfway around the fucking world, when we got the most atrocities in the whole wide world, in the history of mankind that I could think of, happened right here in America. At least in this hemisphere, if you want to talk about that, because we can go to Brazil, we can go to Haiti, we can go we can go to Jamaica. Like what are you talking about? But the black people over here, nobody has suffered like we suffer, and nobody has suffered like we've suffered in the past, and like we're suffering right now. So I don't talk to me about Stalin and all that shit. And lastly, that slavery shit, you know, he tried to throw in the communism, where once again, that has nothing to do with slavery. That like communism has nothing to do. Communism is anti-slavery.
And look, three T's thrown there. She says nobody came and saved us to this day. She's saying nobody ever came to save us. Go ahead, you were saying anti-communism.
No. I'm saying so slavery is not in communism. Like, that's not a part of communism. If you look up what communism is, if you study it at all, which obviously this person never studied communism is all about equality. It's not about slavery. See what I'm saying? It doesn't make any sense. It's an oxymoron to say that communism had anything to do with slavery. Now, the people who are in power, they're either like Stalin was, they either get tyrannical and they try to, you know, they take advantage of people, right? And they come in under the guise of like, yeah, we're going to give you communism, we're going to give you socialism, because if you just talk to a normal person about socialism, if you went to a child, right? If you went to a 10, 12, 13-year-old kid, and you just described without using the word capitalism, or without using the word socialism, and you just described the two systems, and you said this is how this system functions, and this is, you know, this is who it benefits, and then you said the same thing about capitalism or whatever, I guarantee you almost 100% of the kids would choose socialism, right? Or even communism. And the difference between communism and socialism is for communism to truly work at its height, to run at its highest, you know, in its highest form, the whole world needs to be on board with it. The whole world has to be on board with it, because it's to do away with money. They want to do away with money. They want to do away with borders. They want to do away with government. That is the pinnacle of communism. So once again, you get somebody in power that ends up being tyrannical, and they come in at first on some just like, yeah, we want to create all this equality for you, and then they end up taking advantage, because absolute power corrupts absolutely. You can't blame. That's not communism, because that's not what it is. You know what I'm saying? That's not how the system. That's not what it's about. Okay. So I just want to make that shit clear, because it's very important that we stop, like Robert was saying, that we stop taking these words, these buzzwords, right, in our society, and letting them scare us with these words. But B, if you understand the words, you may actually come to that. You may start moving closer to that side once you understand the system better, as opposed to being so anti, you know, socialism, anti-communism, or whatever the case may be, because the only way to fight capitalism is with socialism.
Okay, go ahead, Robert.
First, I just want to let the commenter know, Drago didn't really kill Apollo Creed. That they were actors. Okay, so you know they were doing that to basically make you
propaganda.
Russia, right, to hate the Soviet Union. And you might hate the Soviet Union, but guess what? Those people, the people that live there, those are regular people, just like you. Okay. And, you know, and so you have to show some respect, man. Like, show some respect. If you're going to come onto the show to comment, I mean, have some knowledge of what you're talking about, because it's just that we you know what I mean? We're trying to do some kind of, you know, deep dive here to educate some people about some things. And then when you comment in ways that are it's called gaslighting, dog. And that's what you're doing right now. And when you're doing that type of thing, it actually detracts from the conversation. And I want everybody to be able to comment. I want everybody to have something to say, to be able to say it. But when you're coming onto the show to gaslight, it just, I don't know, man. It makes me believe that I take what I do serious. Prince takes it serious. Tyrone takes it serious. We're not here for, you know, our health. And I feel like, you know, you're not trying to actually be part of a productive conversation, but you're trying to change the subject in ways that are that actually, they just detract. It detracts and distracts. So if you could just, you know.
And I'd say this, Populist Revolt, again, I always extend the invitation for you to come on and let your voice be heard, because I do know sometimes through text it's hard to articulate yourself. And so if you ever want to just come articulate yourself with your voice, with your thoughts, and say what you have to say, hey, man, come on. It's all good. Yeah. Let me read a couple of these.
Greenland, dog. Hey, that's Greenland.
That's not Greenland. let me that's not Greenland. And look,
that fool got burner accounts like KD.
Look here, and I'm gonna read a couple of comments, and we're gonna and you guys can pick it up wherever you want to pick it up, but I'm gonna read like 3 or 4. And again, Populist Revolt says, you think American slavery is the worst that you've ever heard? I think you massively underestimate history.
We're not going to get into the slavery pissing contest. That doesn't make sense. Slavery is bad. It's bad everywhere. It sucks.
Point blank. Kristen Nunez says America will never be a communist country. Paper Dollhouse says we have to save ourselves. Still do. 3T says what happened here to Black Americans was and still is the worst slavery, and it's still going today. Kristen Nunez says people want anarchy.
Some people do want anarchy. Very popular in Italy back in the 20s, 30s. Very popular.
Popular in Russia too.
All right, let's see. Populist Revolt. I keep thinking pulpit, because I was talking about, somebody was talking to me about pastors, and he kept saying they be on the pulpit like Lord, and now I keep thinking pulpit. So Populist Revolt also says, have some knowledge, you fellas. I've studied communism and World War I and World War II. Don't insult me. But see, Populist Revolt, I don't want to insult you. That's why I said if there's ever a time that you want to come on and just verbally say what you have to say, we would love it. You know, you can always be a part of the panel. No problem with it, because I do know sometimes typing, things get lost in translation, and things are a lot more fluid when people actually speak. Let's see. Paper Dollhouse said, go ahead, Prince.
Can I ask Populist Manifesto? Can I actually ask Populist, whatever his name is? I forget his name, but can I ask that gentleman? Has he ever read the manifesto? Has he ever read Karl Marx? Like
the Communist Manifesto?
Yeah, has he ever read it? Because he's saying that he studied it, but I don't think he studied it. It sounds like he's watched some videos and he thinks that that's studying it. But if you read it, there's nothing in there that says that you have to enslave people. There's nothing in there that says that people must die or anything like that. So when you could point that out, then I'll listen to you. Then I'll believe that you studied it. But until then, it just sounds like you don't have a good grasp on it. I'm not saying you didn't study it at all. I'm just saying you don't have a good enough handle on it yet. That's all I'm saying.
If you're worried about communism, then what you need to do is you need to you need to help reform capitalism, because communism, socialism, they're post-capitalist, economic structures. Meaning, when capitalism finally crashes and burns, as it always does on a cycle, that's when the time to insert socialism or communism comes. So it comes out of a necessity, out of the breakdown of capitalism. So if you have a problem with communism, then you need to demand change out of the capitalist system in America right now, because it's gonna go down in flames, bro.
But the thing about it is, though, to piggyback on that, Robert, there is no reforming capitalism. Right. It's like saying you need to reform feudalism. Like, you can't reform it. Like, it is it's one of the literally like you were talking about. Socialism socialism and communism is post capitalism, right?
Right.
Okay, cool. So and capitalism is post feudalism. They are the progression. You know what I'm saying? If you look at our society now, we have a lot of socialist programs, and basically the good things about our society, that the programs that we like that are most beneficial to us are socialist programs. Capitalism doesn't help anybody around the world. It doesn't help the poor. It doesn't, you know what I mean? Like, it only helps a very select group of people, which, if you look at capitalism, if you just take a step back, it looks a lot like feudalism. You know what I'm saying? It looks a lot like imperialism. It looks a lot like there's a few rich people at the top and a gang of poor peasants at the bottom, just like how it looked in fucking ancient Rome, just like how it looked in fucking in Europe 2,000 years ago. It looks exactly the same. You know what I'm saying? Like, so socialism is just a system that says, hey man, you could be rich, but as long as the poorest as long as the people who aren't as rich as you aren't fucking starving and dying in the streets. That's pretty. I'm oversimplifying it, but that's pretty much what those systems are. I mean, what socialism is about. And capitalism, like I said before, communism is about, let's get rid of the fucking money, let's get rid of the fucking borders, because at the end of the day, we're all people. But for us to evolve to that point, you know what I'm saying? So socialism next, and then it's communism. You see what I mean? Communism is the full form. You know what I mean? It's the fucking, I don't know if you guys are into fucking Pokemon and shit, but it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's fucking like Squirtle and fucking, yeah, it's like going from Squirtle to fucking whatever his name is, the Battle Turtle or the fuck his name is. Like, it's like the full form. Yeah, anybody watches Pokemon, I don't know. So that's what it is. It's the final transformation. It's like the butterfly. You know what I'm saying? Like, right now, we ugly as fuck. We not even caterpillars right now. We in the cocoon still. Like we sleep. You know what I'm saying? So, capitalism is just, we're fucking sleep. It doesn't benefit many people. It hurts us. It's destroying the planet. Racism is built into it. Sexism is built into it. These fucking these hierarchies are built into it. It's all a part of it, because it doesn't work unless those things are built into it. You know what I'm saying? Equality is not built into capitalism. That's why you can't reform it. You either have to make a choice. Do you want equality or do you not want it? Because if you want it, you got to get rid of capitalism.
And
so
if capitalism was performed in its purest form, where the actual best and brightest cream rises to the top type stuff, maybe that would be okay. But the fact is that capitalism is basically where it's not about being the best or having the best value, the most value to the marketplace. It's about being the shrewdest. It's about being the most cutthroat, and it's about being
about making the most capital. It's about making the most capital.
Well, I mean, I think if you have the most value to the marketplace, you can make the most capital, and that's okay. But the thing is that the people with the most value to the marketplace are not always making the most capital, because they're being stifled by different underhanded tricks that are built in, so that the people that are in power now will stay on top without having to provide more value to the marketplace.
Absolutely. So it's not a free market. It's not a free market system.
check this out. Populist Revolt says, and Death of the Cloud Chaser TV. What's good with you, man? What's good, Death of the Cloud Chaser? You guys go subscribe and check him out. He be putting them videos out. He got a lot of good content. Let's see. Populist Revolt says capitalism does need reformed, but it's corporatism, globalism, cronyism that makes capitalism look bad. Capitalism is a good thing.
No,
you know what?
Actually,
right now,
not.
what we have in America is more of a mercantilism style of capitalism, where the government serves the corporate interest more than it serves the people. And those corporate interests, like I just said, do not have to add any value to the marketplace in order to maintain in their spot. As in, when the banks made bad investments and they were going under and they were worthless to the marketplace, the government took taxpayer money and bailed them out so that they would stay in the position that they said, and they explained to the people that somehow these banks were too big to fail. Too big to fail should not exist in a capitalist society. That is the actual opposite of what capitalism is. Capitalism would say, let them fail because no other ones will come behind them and take their place. That ones that add value to the marketplace. But because this is not actual capitalism, it just needs to be destroyed, dog. You need to throw the whole damn thing away.
Absolutely, but also for what he was saying, he said that he came up with all these other terms and phrases or whatever, but all those terms and phrases are not systems. Cronyism isn't a system. That's just what you call greedy people in capitalism, right? So that was made up. Yeah, that's made up. Those are all children of capitalism. All those things you just described, corporatists, those are children of capitalism. And the reason why is because in capitalism, the main thing, like I said before, is to gain capital. It ain't about like you could try to switch it up. You could say how you gain capital is, we could debate that, right? Like, so if you want to say what Robert was saying, which is like, oh, if you're the cream of the crop, you know what I'm saying? You could, you serve a purpose to the economy, then you could gain capital. Okay, cool. I agree. But the problem with that is that what capitalism says is that you can make as much money as you possibly can make. That's that's written into it, right? Like that's all. So it's a quote unquote, it's supposed to be a free market. There's no regulations. It doesn't matter so when I say that, I'm saying it doesn't matter who you exploit. It doesn't matter who you harm. It doesn't matter if you destroy the planet, as long as you're making more money, then it's cool. And there's nothing in there that says in capitalism where it says, okay, you can make as much money as you can as long as you don't hurt men, women, women and children. There's nothing in there that says you can make as much money as you want as long as you don't destroy 90% of the coral reefs in the fucking ocean. There's nothing in capitalism that says that. There's no protections in there. That's why I said that the system is built to fail. It's not built to sustain itself. It's built to eat itself. That's what Marx said about it. That's what I'm saying. So if you read about that, then you would know that it's not, that the whole system is built to fail. It's not built to survive. There is no reforming it.
All right, and hey, you guys here. It's getting late, so let me read one more comment and then get you guys his final word. The actual comment is again from my friend and your friend, Populist Revolt. It says, at friend of the people and at Prince Hayes. I'll jump on next time. You fellas better be ready. Populist Revolt says, Populist Revolt is going to punch on your intellect. So that's what Populist Revolt say. They jumping on next time. Death of the Cloud Chaser family, what's up with you? But yeah, you guys go ahead, leave your final comment, and we're gonna get out of here. Me and Nashane, we might get on here if it's not too late and talk about some twerking. It's a whole lot of stuff going on about twerking, weird as it sounds. But hey, you guys, give us you guys' final comments, and so we can go ahead and wrap it up. 3 T's. I see you with the smiley faces. I'm smiling with you. Go ahead, P.
No, I just want to first of all, I want to thank y'all for being on here with us tonight and give a lot of feedback. I like that. I like all the messages, and Tyrone for being a good host and Robert for his commentary. he been spot on all night. So yeah, I just want to shout y'all out real quick. But yeah, I just want to thank everybody. I mean, I just want to say that that and to the original topic as far as to the original topic as far as regime change. Okay. To the original topic as far as my baby talking to me. I'm sorry, y'all. Original topic as far as regime change. I just want to say that it is very important that we in that. It is. I don't think we see how it is destroying our society. All these wars, spending all this money, taken away from the American people, destroying the planet, so on and so forth. Because the biggest contributor to global warming is the military-industrial complex in America specifically. So they're the biggest polluters on the planet. So I just want everybody to kind of pay attention to that, and hopefully moving forward we can find somebody that's going to help us not get us out of these wars, man. If it's Bernie, if it's Tulsi, I don't care who it is, but whoever is saying they're going to end these wars, and amongst other things, but that's another part of the litmus test for me as far as the candidate is concerned, is ending these wars. Then that's who we need to be pushing.
Okay. All right, cool. And thank you, Preep. Thank you for jumping in and adding your perspective. It's always good when you add your perspective. We love when you add your perspective around. It always gives people a nice perspective to look at. Even if it's not the same perspectives, it gives you something to compare your perspective to and grow from there.
Amen. I'm out of here, y'all. One love. I'm gonna watch.
All right, man. We about to jump off too. Kiss the babies. He said I'm out of here. He wasn't playing. Hey, Robert, go ahead and tell the people who the friend of the people is, and go ahead and give your last thoughts on this topic that we were talking about. Although we talked about a bevy of topics, you can talk about whatever you want. Give us your final thought.
Okay, so first thing first, thank you to Soapbox Heroes. Great things in store from the Soapbox Heroes. So you guys stay tuned in. If you haven't had a chance to yet, like, subscribe, comment. We want to hear from you. Make sure that you're hitting that notification bell as well, so that way you can always get updates whenever we drop or go live. You'll be a part of that. So we're nothing without the people.
Nothing at all.
And on the topic of regime change wars, Prince said it really well. I just want to reiterate that how important this is for people to make sure that you're remaining vigilant as far as what's going on with these things. Make sure that you're reading, keeping up. The United States pretty much has the same game plan for everywhere that every regime change war. They lie to you just to get you on the to convince you that someone else is the bad guy and they're the good guy, and then they use some kind of event to justify going in there and removing some leader, and people die, and civilians die. More than 1 million civilians died in Iraq during that Iraqi war, and it was started because of a lie about weapons of mass destruction. Okay. We have a responsibility as Americans to hold our government accountable for these type of atrocities. We can't continue to fight these regime change wars because it costs American lives, it costs civilian lives in other countries, it costs trillions of dollars, and it's morally wrong. And we need people to be informed. We need an informed public. We need people to stand up. We need the right people in office. That's why I support Bernie Sanders. Tulsi Gabbard is the absolute number one best candidate on regime change. If this is your most important issue, Tulsi Gabbard is your candidate. Check her out. Make sure you check out the debates. Stay informed. And don't be afraid to stand up for what you believe in. This is something that's really, really important. Talk to other people, start the conversation. If you even want to go any further than that, get involved. And don't allow your government to do things that are directly against your best interests in the name of power and greed.
when they're supposed to be serving us.
Okay. All right. And Robert, I want to thank you. And as usual, I want to thank 3Ts. These YouTube streets would not be the same without you, 3Ts. I need you to teach me something about Pokemon. Pokemon. I don't like the fact that I'm the only person on here today that don't know nothing about Pokemon. So 3Ts, I'm going to need you to teach me about Pokemon. Kristen Nunya, do what Kristen said. She said, buy some gold. And let me show you guys this real quick. Death of the Clout Chaser TV. If you in the hip hop news, you see it right there. There go the logo. There go the name. Look, you see right there, I'm subscribed. My notification bell wasn't on. Now my notification bell is on, but subscribe, hit your notification bell. Make sure to go show the man some love. That's what we're trying to do. Spread love and good information. So I want to thank you guys for watching. We're going to get back to it. This has been Soapbox Heroes again. Robert, thank you for all your knowledge. Thank you for your candor. Thank you for your honesty. And you guys be prepared to see Robert doing his own show soon. It's coming to you. It's going to be live. And I'm going to be trolling him in the comments. So, so we out of here. Thank you guys for watching.
Have a great one, guys.